Douchebag with a gun here. All the way back in episode 1, I did my review of the Sig MPX pistol. Now, episode 1 is pretty cringe-worthy to watch, because it looks like I filmed it in some Taliban cave, and it sounded like the microphone was in a different room. Admittedly, I was pretty pathetic when I first started out this channel.
I got better.
Well, sort of. Now somehow that video has managed to get over 2,000 views. So I decided to drag out this gun again because I wanted to take some time to talk about the In Lead We Trust barrel that I put on here and do a little bit more of a deep dive into why I went that route and what the benefits of that barrel are. Now, some of this will be a repeat of things that I have said in previous videos, but this time hopefully you can hear what I'm actually saying, and I won't be trying to be too goofy. So here we go. Now the gun originally shipped with a K pistol barrel. So that's this little guy right here. And this is the stock barrel that came with the gun. This is a 4.5 inch cold hammer forged carbon steel barrel with a 1 in 10 twist. The barrel also has M13 by 0.5 by 1 millimeter threads, and it shipped with a birdcage style flash hider. Now, under the flash hider, you can see that they do feature some tapers here. Now, this was something that was introduced to a lot of the Sig product line when the lead engineer that would eventually go on to help found Q was working at Sig. This is something that they started implementing at AAC, then they went to Sig and put the tapers in over there, then they started up Q and put the tapers in there, and apparently now even H&K and a few other companies are starting to get into the tapering business. So hopefully this becomes an industry standard, because this is a really nice thing when you're talking about aligning your muzzle devices or if you are mounting a silencer. Now the barrel, trunnion, feed ramps, piston, this all ships as one assembly. And the stock piston assembly is non-adjustable. So when I wanted to upgrade the barrel, it was for a few reasons. I wanted a longer barrel, for one. The 4.5 inch barrel is cute, but a Glock 17 has a 4.49 inch barrel, and I wanted to get better ballistic performance for something that I could potentially shoulder one day, if and when I SBR the little guy. Now, if you don't believe me, this here is a Glock 17 barrel, and even though this goes out, the actual barrel on this guy starts right around the same point as the two mounting lugs. You can see, maybe you can see that there's a bit of a recess here. So this is about 5 inch assembly overall, but this first half inch is dead space. So same thing as a Glock 17. This here is a Glock 17 barrel threaded for silencer use, so I can even get better ballistic performance technically out of this guy than I can out of the stock barrel from the MPX. Second, I wanted a standard thread pitch for mounting silencers and or the option of a tri-lug mounting system. So that means that these guys had to go. And number 3, I, like everyone else, watched the Military Arms channel pour a tablespoon of water down the barrel of an MPX during his gauntlet test and saw the little thing choke.
So just a tablespoon of water did not cause the gun to malfunction. Pouring it in the ejection port. This is very dangerous now. I'm going to put my hand in front of the muzzle. Don't do this at home. I try to get a tablespoon of water straight down into the muzzle. And there's our malfunction. So it is the gas piston system that is it's sensitive to water, just as we thought.
So the In Lead We Trust barrel fixes all of that. Now, I purchased the 8-inch barrel, and I also opted to get the 1/2x28 threads and the 3-lug mount, the tri-lug mount, milled already in. It did also ship with the thread protector. This still has the same 1 in 10 twist rate. And while his site doesn't have specific details about the materials of construction for this barrel, his Scorpion Evo barrels are made of 4140 steel with a nitride finish. And so I'm assuming that this is actually the same thing. Now, this is not going to be cold hammer forged and all that other jazz. I don't know exactly how he does the rifling and everything else, but suffice to say, this thing is more than durable enough. He also does let me see if I can get this in frame here. He does very nice polishing on the feed ramps, which is actually not done on the stock barrel. Now, the 8-inch barrel optimizes the 9mm ballistic performance while keeping the gun short and compact. Yeah, so it is pretty much double the size of the standard barrel, but that is a compromise that I was willing to make. It's not going to be a little tiny backpack gun, especially when you add a silencer to the end of it, which I like to do, but that's not what I'm trying to use this gun for. The 1/2x28 threads allow me to go with a different silencer mounting system if I should choose. However, frankly, I never use them because I love the tri-lug mounting system and I love my Silencer Co. Omega 9K silencer with the tri-lug system. And lastly, the In Lead We Trust barrels have a second bleed-off hole ported in the piston assembly. This is the stock barrel, and you can see one little tiny hole right here, whereas the In Lead We Trust has 2 of them drilled in. This is what makes the difference when you pour a teaspoon of water down the muzzle, and why this barrel will work in that situation, and this one chokes on dick.
And in other news, still no cause of death found for elementary school teacher Diane Chokes on Dick.
So I dig it. I get to drink a 30 brick of Yingling lager and then piss down the barrel, and it will still shoot just fine. Then there's the In Lead We Trust adjustable gas piston system that I purchased. And this is where it gets really fun. Now, this little guy offers 4 adjustment positions. Now, it adjusts with a simple turn of the plug, and you can either do that with a 1/4 inch Allen key stuffed, more than likely this thing's going to be hiding underneath some kind of a handguard, but you can reach it and do your adjustments with an Allen key, but there are also wrench flats around here that you can use if you so choose. I should also point out that this will work on any MPX. You do not need to have the In Lead We Trust barrel for this to work. Now, this is not without its flaws. For one, you have no idea what the gas settings are from the outside of this thing once it's mounted into your gun. You can see the ports here, and there's the notches for the detent on the inside, but I had to actually take my Dremel tool, and I don't know if y'all will be able to see that, but I just used a diamond bit and with the Dremel and made some etchings, so at least when I reinstall this thing back into the gun, I can set it to where I normally like it and leave it there. Secondly, in order to mount this whole thing, it's multiple pieces, and so this comes apart, and then you put this part in, and then you put this part on, and then you can thread it all together, and this little nut here is what holds everything in place. Now, this part will start to walk off on you once you start shooting, so you're probably going to want to use just a very, very light touch of some blue Loctite on there to keep this guy in place. So, talked about some of the negatives, but when you get this thing installed properly, you can start to adjust it down, and you can really tune this gas to be right for your gun. This offers some benefits. When you silence these guns, they are truly gassy. They will blow a shit ton of stuff into your face and burn your eyes out.
All right, guys. Woo! See my eyes? That was just a standard S&B ammunition, full 30 rounds, and it just gasses the snot out of you far worse than the Evo. Woo! It's just like an AR-15. and the debris back in your face is pretty bad. And that's all because of the suppressor.
I had it down to the second gas position and I was shooting it suppressed. I took the silencer off and ran another mag through there, mostly just because I didn't want the silencer getting too hot before I packed up and headed home for the day. And it cycled just fine. I didn't have to worry about any short stroking or anything like that. So I could probably even tune this down a little bit further with the silencer on there, and it would probably still cycle just fine there too. So you do get a lot of flexibility and options with this thing. This is a pretty cool part for 110 bucks. It's actually probably one of the more reasonable things you can do for such an expensive gun. I'm gonna probably do a cutaway and throw this thing back together. And I really love y'all because I ended up pulling the barrel out just to do this video, and now I'm gonna have to re-zero the friggin' optic and everything else when I put it all back together. But I'm gonna reassemble this thing, and then I'm gonna touch on a couple other things real quick, this being one of them, and then we'll call it a video.
A few moments later.
All right, now we got it all back together. I wanna go over a couple other things real quick. So, other than, there's pretty much same gun that y'all have seen before, but I have made two changes to it. The first of which is actually the charging handle. I actually opted to remove the next level armor charging handle off of here and go back to the stock charging handle that shipped with the pistol. Now, don't worry, this one is still fully ambidextrous, so I ain't losing nothing there. But problem with the next level one, the arms on that thing stuck out way too far off this gun. And while this one is a little on the nubby side, and I feel like I'm going to be rubbing my knuckles up against the pistol brace every single time I go to charge the weapon, I'm only charging it once, generally speaking, and then I'm going to use the bolt release every time I put new mags in there until I screw that up. So I'll take the risk of rubbing up my knuckles for a little bit until I get that straightened out. I'm gonna see if I can pick up a Radian because it's not quite as pronounced as the next level. I really wish Geissele was still making the ones that they made because frankly, that was pretty badass and that was a perfect size for this thing, but they don't make them anymore. So unless I could find one on the used market. If anybody's selling a used Geissele charging handle for an MPX, call me. And the second upgrade that I've made, well, I won't say upgrade, I just changed. I had an EOTech on here. And it was a nice one, the EXPS3, and it had the night vision and all that other jazz. But the problem is, every time I took it to the damn range, the damn battery was dying. And the last time I took this to the range, the battery did die, and I was shooting with the irons. Now, the irons were dialed in, so it shot just fine, but it got me thinking, this kind of is stupid. So I've been eyeballing these little new primary arms, Cyclops. This is the 1X because they haven't come out with the new ones yet, and I ain't fancy enough like Tim and anybody else to be getting reviews of free shit. So this is just the standard Cyclops, but I like how tiny and, you know, the size is perfect. Everything is nice, keeps the form factor nice and compact, but you know, obviously aesthetically the brown is cool, whatever. But the glass is pretty clear. You've probably heard a bunch of people talk about it. I'm not gonna be able to film through there, so I'm not even gonna try to screw that. But the reticle is etched on here, so I don't have to worry about the battery dying. If the battery should die, I could still use it. And it does have illumination, and it will get pretty daylight bright. The thing is actually pretty badass. I had, and I still do have, some of the earlier generation versions of the Cyclops, and those are the ones with the teeny little weeny reticle that everybody complains about with the thing, but they have definitely improved that on the new model because the reticle in here is much easier to see with the naked eye, so you can actually use some of those range-finding things without needing a magnifier in order to be able to use your damn optic. So that's about it. By the way, this is my Glock 17. I had this out to pull the barrel so that I can compare it to the stock barrel that came with the MPX. And it reminded me that I still have yet to do a pistol review on my channel. So I'm going to probably put this in the queue, and you'll see this in a couple of weeks. And I can go over why this one is kind of cool looking. All right, well, that's about it for this week's video. Thank y'all for watching. Be sure to check out Douchebag's Brother Dick using the link in the video description down below. And remember, I don't know who you are out there, but I got a gun.